Hello and welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, India's largest platform for entrepreneurs. If it matters to you, we've got it covered right here on the show. I'm Sunanda Jayaseelan. Today we're talking about the market for baby-specific products. How that market is booming, what you as an entrepreneur should know. Two experts joining us from that field to break that down for you. Let me welcome in first Varun Alagh, co-founder CEO Mamaearth, Naiyya Saggi, CEO and founder BabyChakra. Varun, Naiyya, thank you very much for your time here on the show. I want to talk about, what the past couple of months have really been like for the two of you as entrepreneurs and how you've been tackling the changes that we've been seeing.
So it's been an extremely exciting time. I think, of course, very unprecedented for all of us. Baby Chakra has been and prides itself on being a very trusted companion to parents and young mothers in India. And I think that that mission, I think that zeal has actually got reinforced during this period of time. Just to give you a sense of a couple of movements that we've seen. First of all, there's been, I think, a lot deeper, I think a lot healthier engagement on our platform. We have a mobile app and a website which has a very personalized journey of pregnancy and parenting for each family that uses us. So I think a lot more deeper engagement in terms of much more online usage of our specific assets of doctor helpline, Q&A, community chats, peer referrals, etc. That's been I think, a complete spike in engagement numbers and user numbers overall. The second piece is we've actually, as part of a community, we have a very large care community of doctors. So, pediatricians, gynecologists, nutritionists, who've actually come together in a very meaningful way, and for the first time in a very interesting way, figured out that BabyChakra is a great way for them to connect with newer patients, but also have very compelling patient engagement journeys for the existing patient base. So we've seen this new avatar of BabyChakra, which is pretty much really reinforced the whole companionship, the trust that we have to the doctor network as well.
Okay.
And I think the third part about, which is very new to BabyChakra, has been our launch of private label products. And very interestingly, right before COVID hit, we'd actually identified baby health and hygiene is a very important category in which a big need was present, right? So we launched 3 SKUs, India's first baby safe hand wash, hand sanitizer, and fruit and vegetable wash. And I think definitely, people became more cognizant of COVID. People became more cognizant of, things around health, hygiene, safety, how to take care of the children at home and, how to take care of the children while going out in a very unprecedented way. So we've actually had 2 of the 3 SKUs very rapidly becoming bestsellers on Amazon, on the other marketplaces we are on, and of course on BabyChakra. So I think 3 very distinct trends in terms of users, growth of our community members to now really integrate with doctors, and of course, I think a very interesting lift of our private label launch as well.
Varun?
I think for us, this time has been, again, a great boost to our already ongoing growth. Although when it started, especially in March and April, we did see a lot of demand and supply shocks. Clearly, all the distribution channels, all supply chain in terms of sourcing, went for a toss. That said, and hence where we were in terms of revenues, when suddenly became 20% of our pre-COVID averages of February, etc. in April. And we very quickly realized that this was not effectively as much a challenge as an opportunity which was being presented to us. And basis a few metrics that we started reading, we clearly saw much larger traffic suddenly started to come on our e-commerce platforms, and we saw a deeper need for safe and toxin-free products out there in the market. And And we also saw our core competitors actually taking a backseat, becoming conservative, and hence we decided to actually go fairly aggressive during that period. And we already had a strong brand portfolio, a strong mix, a purpose-based proposition which resonates very strongly with the consumer. So May onwards is when we started pushing our levers strongly, both on marketing as well as on sales and commercial side. And we saw unprecedented growth. I think because of all of that focus and our constant innovation into areas which were desired by consumers, and have led us to becoming almost 3 times of our pre-COVID size. In terms of revenue, we have gained a significant share, and especially in the e-commerce domain. And but not only that, the brand has also tripled in offline as a space, clearly showing that the strength is not just being demonstrated in online arena, but also in the offline space.
That brings me to my next question of innovation. How have you been innovating, responding to the challenges and the opportunities, of course, being presented by the pandemic? And based on that, your advice for someone who's watching today about how they can incorporate innovation into their businesses?
We had a very strong innovation funnel pre-COVID, and we had some worries as to how our innovation funnel will get impacted, because a lot of labs where we used to do our testing were closed. A lot of our back-end supply chain for raw materials got closed for some time. And but I think it's just when you're so driven to do something ways, and that's what we did. And in fact, during lockdown stage of April to June itself, we had launched almost 13 new products, and we continue to be aggressive on getting into new categories, getting into new propositions, and across all categories, which is baby, skin, and hair that we are present in. And to name a few innovations which have done exceptionally well for us, I would say in skin care, our innovation around vitamin C as an ingredient, and which was something that we could clearly understand through listening, an ingredient that consumers in India were looking forward to, and especially became strong during pandemic because of its links to immunity. And we have launched almost 9 different products under the vitamin C range that has done exceptionally well for us. And in baby, we have launched India's first plant-based diaper, and there was no diaper with plant-based top sheets available in India. And we've been researching on that product for almost 18 months now, because India did not have capability to actually produce that product, and only China was the market which was producing it. We worked with a few manufacturers, invested in their capabilities, and developed that ability to do it in India.
Okay.
I think these are a couple of examples of innovation that we have done during this period.
Naiyya, how about you?
I think the heart of innovation lies in consumer centricity and customer centricity, right? And really sort of listening to the customer, understanding the customer's needs, and the customer's needs have changed so drastically over this period, right? I mean, for the first time, we're seeing the online / digital revolution like no other time, right, in our history, right? So if I look at my two core constituents, there were parents and there are doctors, right? So for doctors, we basically built on a whole stack of digital products on our platform, of course, ranging from your regular video capabilities onto online booking, onto teleconsultations, etc., but also a very interesting way for them to connect both with our user base and sort of build their patient base much broader and much deeper, because doctors were struggling with their practices, right? They were trying to understand how to get in new parents to come in and visit their clinics, or how to ensure sort of vaccination compliances with existing parent bases, right? So a lot of those tools were built around a very doctor-centric user journey, if you will. We also did a couple of partnerships, by the way, on that aspect with pharma companies to ensure that their doctors also saw no loss in business during the period of COVID. And we, very proud to report that our pilots with 2 of the pharma companies actually ensured that doctors and the companies and the patients reported that they experienced no dip in care outcomes or business outcomes through the period of 9 months, which is incredible, to say the least. So something we're very proud of at BabyChakra. I think the second aspect is the consumer centricity around the physical products we've launched, the Baby Safe hand wash, sanitizer, the fruit and vegetable wash. And let me take you back. In the old normal, we weren't washing our hands as frequently. Our kids weren't washing their hands as frequently, right? We were using products which were made for more of an adult population. We were looking at sanitizers and hand washes more for industrial sort of, for adult use. And I think the entire innovation that we built and brought into these products is that we're baby safe. Your child can use them up to 10, 12, 15 times a day. And it will, your child's skin will still remain moisturized. These have no heavy metals. These are, completely arsenic, lead, toxin free. That's a promise that not just we claim, but the FDA claims, because we have all of these products clinically tested. And I think the other really cool part of the innovation is just the way the product is loved by children. So the end consumers, right? So we've actually thought about this is now going to be a new behavior change for children. They'll have to sort of practice sanitization, have to practice hand washing a lot more frequently. Now, how will the moms and dads get the kids to do it? So basically the formats of the bottles are, it's a foaming hand wash. So immediately, like it's pleasurable and experienced, right? The smell is of mango, a very favorite Indian fruit, right? So I think all of these things are very innovative when we think about a very, having a very strong consumer-centric core. And I think that's how we've sort of seen the compliance to hand washing and sanitizers being more than 5x if they use a BabyChakra product versus any other product out there in the market. So that's how we think about innovation.
We'll step on a short break on that note. We're back in just a moment. Welcome back with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow. Today, I'm in conversation with BabyChakra and Mamaearth. What consumer trends can you talk to us about since the onset of the pandemic?
I think the first trend that I would talk about is Bharat joining the e-commerce bandwagon. E-commerce as a business, especially when it comes to volume of that business, was being driven by metros and the tier 1 cities. And now a large part of the delta addition that has happened over the last 7 to 8 months has come from tier 2 and beyond. And in fact, personally for us, more than 50% of our contribution is now coming from tier 2 and beyond. So clearly there is a new consumer who was earlier probably consuming content on digital, but over time has developed and built that comfort to now transact as well. And so that is the first trend that I would talk about. And there is also from a consumer perspective, we've seen a positive inclination towards local brands, right? So the vocal for local trend which had started, and we have clearly heard back from consumers whenever we have used that as a part of our communication, and that's what they would like to support, right? So any brand which is indigenous, which is based out of India, and is a brand and a company that they would like to support more. So there is a bit of a trend on that side as well that we've seen. The third thing that we have clearly seen is consumers are wary of the context, and hence some of the categories which Naiyya also talked about, like hygiene, germ kill as propositions, have clearly broken through. And the penetration of sanitizers has become 4x of what it was pre-COVID. And so that is the third consumer trend that we have closely seen and experienced. And I think the fourth trend that I would talk about is the number of trips or frequency of purchase has reduced, and people are looking to do less number of trips to either markets or to malls, etc. And in the same trips end up buying hence larger packs and larger formats. And is something that we have seen. So I think these 4 are the trends that I would talk about.
2021 is going to be amazing. But let me sort of tell you a little bit about why, right? So one is, I truly do believe that a lot of businesses have gone through a trial by fire, and entrepreneurs have gone through a trial by fire over the last year. And I think inherently as a community and as an ecosystem, it's made us much stronger. It's also in many cases made our businesses much stronger and helped us figure out where the gaps are, what we could have done differently, what were the risk mitigation measures we should have set in place long back, but we never did, right? So I do think we're a lot more robust, in many of our companies internally with our processes. Also, our teams have come together in a very unified way through this crisis, of pandemic proportions, right? So I think overall it's been a trial by fire. And you come out typically stronger at the other end. And I think that's really one thing that's going to ensure that we are much stronger as an ecosystem going forward. And I think the second piece to it is, of course, as we talked earlier about the consumer demands and the consumer trends changing, right? And they have tilted quite definitively to being online first and online friendly, because now a lot of new constituents are online who never would have trusted online or would have thought about online being their regular watering hole, right? And the place to make decisions. So I definitely see a very strong wind of change that's going to, really take the ecosystem forward in a very meaningful way because of these 2 reasons. I'm very excited about 2021.
I think 2020 already has been a year that has helped a lot of startups and young businesses by giving them a chance to create something new. And because when the environment is such, you need risk-taking ability to actually make a move, right? And only startups and entrepreneurs sort of did that while everybody else was conservative. And 2021 should further strengthen some of these entrepreneurs who've been resilient through these times and have been able to prove product market fit. So I'm extremely hopeful and that it'll be a big year for the ecosystem as well as for the economy as well.
What are the skill sets required to become a part of the online, e-commerce ecosystem? Because you are an online first company. So what should entrepreneurs really keep in mind about skill sets perhaps which are needed?
So there are 2 categories of entrepreneurs. One is, I would say, the more traditional businesses or the smaller outfits who are trying to reinvent themselves to an online first ecosystem. And I think for them, there are some beautiful new tools that have come across, right? Which are, you have the Shopify's for India. And I won't mention specific names because I think, if you just do Google search, you'll figure out what those different platforms are. But, now there are also, I think, platforms that are built on WhatsApp, for instance, which make you upload your inventory real time very fast and can help you sort of disseminate through your existing customer base your set of products and also show live inventory, right? So you have a lot of tools that help you accelerate your transition to online. Plus, I do believe the larger marketplaces are coming up with more and more ways of discovering local retailers, which is already happening. You see Swiggy, it's already happening. You see Amazon already happening. So I think interesting ways of figuring out and sort of almost working with existing online platforms to accelerate your journey online versus having to learn all the tools yourself, right? So that's one aspect for a certain cohort of entrepreneurs. And then for the other cohort of entrepreneurs who are actually building for these businesses or building their business digital first, I'd say work backwards from the future, right, as you see it. Because what we see today is where we are today, but that's not where, the online world changes so fast. So I think if you just work backwards from the future, but also keep things simple. So, if there are ways in which you can leverage the same experience of, let's say, conversations using WhatsApp today, that's a tool that's already built out, scaled, right? And everyone's on it. So I think there are ways and there are opportunities to think about using parts of your stack which you don't build in-house, but parts of your stack which you borrow till you scale to a certain level and then start building in-house. So I think those are my 2 sort of pieces of advice to people looking at coming online and building companies online.
I think the 2 skills that I would talk about, apart from what Naiyya mentioned, one is most online businesses would generate demand through using digital media, right? And their Facebook and Google ecosystems are the largest ecosystems which are out there, which can help you generate demand and sort of build your brand in the online space. And most of these platforms actually have free skill building programs. So Google has their free certifications around their digital media tools like AdWords, etc. Facebook has something called Blueprint, through which you can learn and educate yourself, right, to ensure you're able to run ads on their platforms and run them with strong efficiency. So the first thing that I would say is you can teach yourself digital media through some of these tools. And I myself was actually a traditional media marketer before I started on this journey, and I purely use these free courses from HubSpot, from Facebook, from Google to educate myself and ensure that I know the nitty-gritties of how things work, and I'm able to run the campaigns myself till we are able to put a team in place. So one is learning digital media and how it works. And second is around e-commerce and how it operates, which is the transaction. Right now, you could go your D2C model, or you can choose to actually sell the same brands on Amazon or Flipkart, etc., depending upon which direction you're taking. And that's the second, and that's more than a skill. That's more about understanding what are the different parts to that business. How would you manage consumer experience? How would you manage customer service? How do you manage delivery and logistics? And which there are a lot of readily available SaaS solutions that are available, and the combination of which, if you can deploy, you can deliver that online business to the. I think these two are absolutely critical parts of running a transaction-based online business, and which anyone needs to understand before they actually jump in.
Naiyya, Varun, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having us.
Completely out of time on this panel. Thank you so much for watching.